All right, welcome to Module 2 of Indoor Soccer Officials Training. I believe this one should be pretty quick. We're going to watch a little bit of film and go over free kicks and indoor soccer. So in indoor soccer, all free kicks that are given are going to be indirect kicks. And what this means is that we'll give the free kick, we'll blow our whistle, we'll point to the spot, and then the offended team will be able to kick from that spot. But in order for a goal to be scored, the ball must touch another player on the court before it goes in the net. So they can't just take a direct kick and shoot on target. Doesn't matter if it touches an offensive or defensive player, but it has to touch somebody before it can be eligible to score a goal. Defensive players on a free kick must be at least 10 feet from the ball at the time that it is played. It's a little bit different than outdoor soccer. So 10 feet isn't that far. It's about 3 yards, just over 3 yards. So you will have to back up the defense from time to time and let them know they need to be here before the ball is kicked. And the only exception to free kicks being indirect kicks are PKs or penalty kicks. And penalty kicks are taken from the 3-foot line that is just outside of the penalty area. And we'll show you a picture of that next. There's also a dash line on the court that is behind the penalty zone and the penalty kick spot. And that is where the rest of the non-shooters, offense and defense, have to be behind until the ball is kicked on a penalty kick. So you can see what that looks like here, that blue square on the wall with the padding behind it. That is the goal that we use. In that first arc, the solid line there, that is the penalty zone. So any fouls that occur inside of that zone against the offensive team will result in a penalty kick. And the penalty kick will be taken from that dash line that is just outside of the penalty zone. So the ball will be placed there. The shooter will be able to back up. They will wait for the whistle and before they can kick it. And then everybody else besides the goalie and the penalty kick taker will be behind the dash line, and they cannot move in front of the dash line until the ball is kicked. So free kicks are given for all of these things that you see on the screen here: kicking, tripping, jumping, charging at an opponent. And we'll look at some of the fouls and we'll go over some videos here in a second. There won't be audio again, but you can see what it is and we'll talk about it as well. So basically any sort of contact that is not a soccer play, pushing, handling is a handball. We'll go over handball in a minute as well. Holding, obstruction, we'll look at some of these things, but any of these can result in a free kick. And as well, outside of too many players on the court, any of these fouls could also result in a yellow or red card as well. But it's certainly a foul. It is right on the edge of the penalty area. In my opinion, it was outside the penalty area, so we would probably give an indirect kick in this case. But you can see the player from yellow comes from behind and pushes the player in green. The next one we will see is tripping. It's a little bit out of frame, but this one's pretty obvious, pretty good call as well. So that would be an indirect kick from the spot of the foul. It's right on the dash line there, so not quite in the penalty area. So we'll give an indirect kick in this case to the yellow team. The next one we'll see is a hip check. Players kind of come together in the middle of the floor, and you'll see a hip check. This is something that happens pretty frequently in indoor soccer, and it's something that we have to call because we want to keep players on their feet at all times. With the hard floor and the hard boards, the ball rolling around and people flying all over the place, we want to keep people on their feet as much as possible. So any hip check that brings somebody to the ground, we're probably going to need to put a whistle on it. We're a little bit more sensitive to fouls. We call more fouls in indoor soccer because of the dangers of the court itself. So this is something that you can talk about in your captain's meeting as well, so that players aren't surprised that they can't be as physical in indoor soccer as they may be able to in outdoor soccer. Yep, so I'll play it again. I think it's yellow number 4 maybe that comes in from the left side of the screen. Is trying to play the ball but comes in pretty hard. The green player does not see him coming and knocks him to the ground pretty solidly. So that's certainly going to be a foul on yellow. We'll give an indirect kick to the green team. Let's take one more look at it. And this one that we're going to see, there's really no place for this sort of behavior. I believe our official in this case gives a yellow card. In my opinion, it's a dangerous enough play that this player could be given a red card. What also has to do with it is their body language and their behavior leading up to the foul. So it's going to be this tall fella in yellow that eventually charges the player and creates a foul. After I think he believes that a call should have been called before, but we'll take a look at it. So watch the tall kid in yellow with the headband on and watch his behavior, and then the foul. In my opinion, it should be an immediate red card because of the dangerous play. Also, I'm not really sure if it was intentional the way that the yellow player was approaching the referee initially when he thought there would have been a foul. But if he was and he was trying to get into his space, there should have been a red card and a whistle blown before anything else happened. To me, it looks like he is starting to sort of get chest to chest and approach in a threatening way, which obviously there's no place for that either. So there's multiple behaviors. In this case, I believe we should eject this player, let our supervisor know, and it's good for you all to know anytime there is an ejection during a game, whoever is ejected is suspended from the league until they come and meet with either myself or my supervisor, Danny, to discuss what happened. If we have a video of a play like this, the player could face suspension, stuff like that. So let's look at it again. Look at the way he approaches the referee. He kind of lets it go. The referee steps out of the way, and he does not further pursue it. But then he does go and pushes the player hard over in the back. So indefinite ejection. All right, very good. So those are multiple cases of fouls. We'll go over that more in person as well. But for out of play, obviously there's no direct sideline where the ball can roll over and go out of play. So it's a little bit different in indoor soccer. When we are out there, you'll see above the court, around its perimeter, there's 2 teal lines. There's the first line, and if the ball hits a wall above that first line, or if it hits one of the nets that's on the benches or the divider between the 2 courts, we're going to declare those out of play. If the ball simply goes up above the first line, doesn't quite reach the second teal line, then that's still in play. However, anytime the ball, regardless if it touches a wall, goes above the second teal line, we're going to blow that out of play as well. And then, as it says, the play will be restarted with an indirect kick from wherever the closest point is. And we'll have a couple videos for that as well. Yeah, so in this case, you can see the 2 teal lines there on the right side. It's split up by that yellow part. That's not why it's called out of bounds in this case. It's because it touches the divider between the 2 courts, which is immediately a out of play call. Yep, and this one, hard to say if it touches the wall up there or not from this angle, but the ball does go above the second teal line in this case and then comes down, and that is why it was blown out of play at that point. So let's take one look at it. You'll see the ball from the left side of the screen goes up above the second line, and then we put a good whistle on it, and play stopped at that point. Yep, so last one, we'll see. Those are the benches over there. It's hard to tell, but there is a net between the bench and the court. In this case, the ball touches that net, which will blow out of play as well. Very good. That will wrap up the second module. Go ahead, take the quiz, and come on back.